Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jeff D. Decker. I'm the Manager of Communications and Media for the Saskatchewan Public Safety Agency. Today, the SPSA will provide an update on the flooding that is impacting our communities. Please feel free to record, cut clips, and quote today's call as needed. We are recording the call as well, and it will be available online later this afternoon on the SPSA YouTube channel and Facebook page. Joining us today is the Honorable Michael Uyghur, Minister responsible for the Saskatchewan Public Safety Agency, the Honorable Eric Schmalz, Minister of Government Relations, Sean Jakes, President and CEO of Saskatchewan Water Security Agency, Devin Pahalik, Director of Communications and Customer Service Branch, Ministry of Highways, and a few other officials that will be able to participate in the media question and answer period. Updates will be provided today by the SPSA, the Water Security Agency, and the Ministry of Highways. And after that, members of the media will have the opportunity to ask one question and one follow-up at a time. Please be advised that we will take our last question somewhere in the vicinity of 2:30 p.m. At this time, I'd like to now go to Minister Uyghur for his opening remarks.
Thanks, Jeff, and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for participating in this call this afternoon. This flooding season has proven to be challenging for many communities in our province. I have had the opportunity to witness firsthand the impacts these floods had on our communities, and I commend the first responders, volunteers, and community leaders for the work in responding to these floods. In the months of April and May this year, the Saskatchewan Public Safety Agency received 45 declarations of local emergency and over 45 designations for disaster assistance through the Provincial Disaster Assistance Program, or PDAP. The Provincial Emergency Operations Centre, which was escalated on May 3rd to level 3B for enhanced multi-district response, has now been scaled down to a level 4, which is still enhanced operations, but at the district response level. Over the past number of weeks, we have seen flood-related damages to homes, businesses, and farms in a number of RMs and communities, as well as damage to critical infrastructure like highways and other roadways. The extent of the damage is still being assessed. That being said, my thoughts remain with those impacted as we begin rebuilding. During this flooding season, I have seen volunteers stepping forward without hesitation, neighbors helping neighbors, and communities supporting communities. Local organizations, municipalities, and partners worked side by side and around the clock with our emergency teams to ensure people stayed safe and were supported. This collective effort is something we can all be proud of. We know recovery takes time, and we remain committed to supporting Saskatchewan's communities every step of the way. The recovery phase includes assessing damage, cleaning and rebuilding structures, restoring essential services, repairing roads and bridges, and providing support to those affected. To accomplish this, we have expanded the SPSA Recovery Task Team to support those impacted. The task team brings together core ministries such as highways, environment, agriculture, government relations, and the Water Security Agency, as well as other stakeholders as are needed. Once again, thank you to everyone that took part in responding to these floods, and thank you for ensuring Saskatchewan people and communities are safe. Thank you, and back to you, Jeff.
There we go. Sorry about that. I guess it would work better if I turned my microphone on. So before we go on to remarks from the WSA and the Ministry of Highways, we will provide a brief update from the SPSA regarding flood conditions. As Minister Uyghur mentioned, the SPSA is working with communities that are currently experiencing flooding conditions or transitioning to a recovery phase. As of 11:30 this morning, 4 communities have active declarations of local emergency. The SPSA is supporting 21 active flooding incidents, with 5 of those communities being supported with flood mitigation equipment. Currently, the SPSA is in contact with each of these communities and is supporting multiple communities and rural areas with staff or equipment resources. For information on specific locations, please refer to the SPSA's interactive map or tools from other agencies, like the Highway Hotline, which has information such as road conditions. SPA's emergency services officers will continue to liaise with communities being affected by the flooding and will continue to assist as required. In addition to remarks already made, the SPSA is thankful that everyone has stayed safe throughout this incident, and the agency is thankful for everyone that helped out, stepped up, and worked together. We will continue to monitor all affected areas and provide updates as conditions evolve. Recovery will take time, and the SPSA continues to stand with Saskatchewan's communities throughout. With that, I will now turn it over to Sean Jakes of the WSA.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you for joining us today. So what we're seeing across the province, flows on many of the rivers, the water's starting to recede, which is welcome for many of the communities that have experienced this damage. With the exception of the Churchill River system and Lac La Ronge near La Ronge, we are seeing higher flows on those systems, and they're continuing to rise at this point, something that WSA is keeping a close eye on. What we are seeing on our other major river systems, like the North Saskatchewan and the South Saskatchewan, flows are starting to recede and are back to normal. And the other thing that we're keeping an eye on is the high winds and wave action on some of the recreational lakes around the province. The large bodies of water that are seeing higher than normal levels. High winds can cause damage, so we're keeping an eye on that. The other thing Water Security Agency is focusing on is working with communities that have to, quickly pivot to now repairing, damaged roads, damaged infrastructure, culverts, etc. And we know those have to be, that work has to be done quickly, for safety, to be able to keep our economy going, etc. And so the advice that we're giving communities, if you need emergency work that needs to get done, go ahead and get that work done. When you're working on a more permanent fix, to contact the Water Security Agency, and we will assist those municipalities and communities in, if additional permitting is required to complete that work. And so we just want, to work with communities and RMs that we know that have to get that work done quite quickly. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Now I'll pass it over to Devin Pahalik from the Ministry of Highways for remarks.
Thank you so much, Jeff. I appreciate that. The Ministry of Highways extends its sincere thanks to Saskatchewan residents and motorists for their continued patience and cooperation as flooding impacts portions of the provincial highway network. Our crews and equipment remain actively deployed across the province, responding to developing conditions, closely monitoring high-risk areas, and supporting public safety efforts. Flood conditions are dynamic and can change rapidly due to shifting water flows and weather patterns. For that reason, we do strongly urge all drivers to check the highway hotline before they leave, and again prior to returning from any trip, to ensure they have the most current and accurate travel information. The highway hotline provides updates, including flood-related closures, traffic restrictions, and other incidents through its interactive map and detailed traffic events reports. Open the map on the Highway Hotline app and click on incident markers to see more details. Fast-moving waters continue to pose challenges, weakening road beds and impacting the integrity of infrastructure across the provincial network. Please be prepared to stop or reduce speeds to mitigate these incidents. The Ministry of Highways is prioritizing all available resources and strategically deploying them to areas experiencing the greatest impacts. Our crews are currently working to maintain access wherever it's safe to do so and restore normal traffic flows as quickly and safely as conditions permit. As for where flooding has been the most intense, this week our hardworking crews have re-established all connections in northern communities such as Pachinak and Pine House, where they were cut off due to culvert failures and washouts. Though some areas may be down to single lane traffic or there are alternative routes in place, access to all northern communities has been opened. And for details for specific roads, you can find that on the highway hotline. And I'll also give an update on the Smoothstone crossing. As most of you may know, the Ministry of Highways secured a contractor to install a temporary structure on Highway 165 over Smoothstone River following a bridge collapse earlier this month. Emergency installation of the temporary structure began this week with the contractor mobilizing at the location. The contractor has started construction on the road approaches from the existing highway to where the temporary bridge will be placed. The Ministry of Highways has been working directly with the Saskatchewan Water Security Agency, the Federal Department of Fisheries and Oceans, Ministry of Environment with Transport Canada respecting the Smoothstone Bridge temporary structure replacement. To protect public health and safety, the temporary bridge installation will proceed as planned. The temporary bridge is expected to be completed at the end of the month, weather permitting, and that temporary bridge will be down to single lane traffic. As this location is currently closed, motorists are required to use alternate routes until such time as the temporary bridge is installed. And as always, check the highway hotline for the latest updates. Thank you. Back to you, Jeff.
Thanks, Devin, for that update. Now we'll open up to questions from the media. Please use the raised hand function to indicate that you've got a question, and you will be then recognized when it is your turn. I would like to remind you to turn on your microphone and camera when asking a question, and then to turn them both off when you are finished. I would also ask that media members, before asking their question, please identify themselves and the media outlet which they are representing. If there are additional questions afterwards, please send them to the SPSA Communication Unit inbox at media.spsa@gov.sk.ca. This is the SPSA's main contact for all media. If there are any questions for the SPSA after today, that's the account they should be sent to. So let's get into our questions today. And I have a generic editorial first in line. Please go ahead and identify yourself. Maybe they're in the chat. I'll do a quick chat. Yes, so the question in the chat is, can the Ministry of Highways give an update on temporary flood damaged bridges, including where they are installed, whether more are planned somewhere elsewhere, and how long they may stay before permanent repairs are done?
Yeah, this is a good question. So at the moment, we are tracking one at the Smoothstone River location. That was due to flooding and ice jamming. We are also working on another one at Brinspeth, and I don't have the name of that third location. So if you want to reach out to me afterwards, I'd be happy to send that your way.
Evan, we'll now move to Susan from PA Now, I believe.
Yes, that is me, Susan from PA Now. I have a couple questions. So one, when I was checking on one of our local RMs, and after, like, before the PDAP money comes in, they still need to kick in about $400,000 of their own money, and this is kind of, for municipalities with small budgets, this is a big hit. So is there any kind of system in place for helping the municipalities finance this, or like how do they have to drop other stuff, redo their budgets? Does anybody have any answers for that one?
Noel, would you be able to handle that one for us, please?
Yep, certainly. We would encourage municipalities that are in that situation to reach out to their PDAP program advisor. There are options to get advance payments through the PDAP program to get some cash flow in place before repairs begin.
Susan, would you have a follow-up question?
I did, but it kind of left my head, so I'll wait and I'll stick my hand up again if it comes back to me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Susan. And we'll now move on to Kelly, please.
Yeah, thank you, Kelly Provost, CBC News. In terms of water, where there shouldn't be water, and the extent of damage, what are the most affected areas in the province right now?
Sean, would you be able to take that one for us, please?
Yeah, I can take a stab at the answer. Thanks for the question, Kelly. Well, where we are seeing most of the damage is kind of along that area where water security agencies issue those high flow advisories. It was an area that stretched from the Meadow Lake area across the north down to around Yorkton. And so what we're seeing for as far as infrastructure damage, there's a lot around Prince Albert. There was some around Meadow Lake, and it's kind of in that northern fringe where most of the water is. Down through Quill Lake, that area.
Okay, thank you. And then in terms of a follow-up question, what kind of recovery are we looking at in terms of how long this could take for some of the worst hit areas to, I guess, lose that water and have infrastructure repaired?
I'm just wondering if who would like to take a run at that question.
So maybe
go-
I can just make a comment
Yeah.
quickly, Jeff, about the water. And so what we're seeing in lots of those areas, and I too have been able to get out and tour some of the municipalities that are impacted. We are seeing the water recede significantly in those areas. The municipalities are starting to, do the recovery, and they are actively working as fast as they can to get, roads repaired. They've been contacting Water Security Agency how to proceed. So that work is underway right now, and they're working as fast as they can.
Thanks, Sean. Noel, would you have anything that you needed to add to that?
For sure. I would add that the Provincial Disaster Assistance Program allows up to 1 year for a municipality's claim in terms of completing repairs, but it is routine in situations where they're looking at designing complex structures such as replacement bridges and that to provide extensions to that 1 year deadline if a municipality requires that.
Thank you, Noel. We'll now move on to Ashley.
Hello, thank you. Ashley Behrens, Global News. I'm just wondering if you heard about some communities not having access to mail or parcels because of washed out roads, and how many communities are affected by that?
Okay, I think I can take that one. The Ministry of Highways has reached out to Canada Post to confirm delivery service has been reinstated. As of now, the latest information we have, detours are in place for affected communities. So we want to recognize the critical importance of maintaining the access to communities such as at Pelican Narrows and Sandy Bay, including essential services like mail and parcel delivery. The current conditions on Highway 135 were the result of that spring thaw and impacts. So our teams are being deployed with our maintenance partners to monitor and assess situations and make sure that the necessary repairs are in place. So as of now, we do have safe access to 135 and 911, or I'm sorry, we are restoring full and safe access to 135 and 911, but alternate routes are in place.
Okay, thank you. And just to follow up, how long did they not have access to their mail?
We don't have the exact timeline, but we were working on this as of yesterday afternoon is when it appears to have been brought to our crew's attention.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I'll also point out that Devin fielded a question earlier about temporary bridges where there were 3 locations and he had to find the name of the third. He has put that information in the chat. So if you're looking for that information, that's where you can go for that. And speaking of the chat, we've got a question there from Neil Billinger of CJWW. Can anyone speak to issues rural municipalities are having attempting to repair damaged roads so farmers can navigate to fields with their seeding equipment? Do you know how many RMs are impacted? Okay, well, let's.
I
I-
can
I'd
speak.
You
like-
might be able to.
Okay, go ahead,
Go
Noel. Sorry.
No,
Um,
it's Eric. Sorry, Noel. You going to take it?
Go ahead, Minister.
Yeah, I was just going to. I could speak to the RMs that I visited in the constituency of Saskatchewan Rivers. They have had significant damage, obviously, that's impacting their seeding or their ability to plant crop. What they're doing is engaging with third-party contractors to assist in the timely repair of that infrastructure to ensure that they can make it into those fields. So the resources that are being tapped into by the RMs in this area, north of Prince Albert, are the use of private contractors and securing those and using the PDAP funding to help support those efforts. Obviously, they have some ability themselves to repair the roads, but in this instance where there's so much vast damage that they are working to repair that through contractors. And Noel, I guess that you can go on from there.
Sure. The only thing that I would add is based on a briefing that we had through the Provincial Recovery Task Team earlier today. It appears that farmers have been able to establish access. However, there may be detours or a little longer trip to get into the fields, but we are not currently aware of any areas that are completely barred from access.
Thank you. Sean, before I move on, do you have anything to add or is that good?
Yeah, no, I was just going to make one more comment just to follow
Sure.
up what Minister Schmaltz was saying. That's why water security agencies working with these municipalities, if they need to do emergency work, they go ahead and do the work they need to. And then when they're working on a permanent fix, contact our office and we'll advise them if there's additional permitting that's required.
Thank you, Sean. All right, so now we've made one trip through the media contingent and all the initial questions were asked. So now if you would like to ask a second question, I think we can spare a few minutes for that. Susan from PA now, I believe you have remembered your previous question.
Yes, I did, and then I came up with another one. So
Okay.
I was wondering specifically, do you have a dollar value for all the damage yet, or will you get one? So we can kind of go with, is it in the millions or the perhaps billions? I have no idea.
Would either of the ministers like to take a run at that one?
I can weigh in and basically just say right now we're still in the assessment stage on this, and SPSA will be collecting this information with collaboration with the Minister of Highways and Water Security Agency, collect the data and collect this information, and it's a work in progress right now.
Thank you, Mr. Uyghur. Noel, would you have anything you could add on this?
Yeah, I would echo the minister's comments that it is certainly early to have an accurate assessment of the damages, and we are currently working with municipality, local authorities to get adjusters, engineers, and appraisers in the field to do proper assessment of the damages incurred.
Excellent, thank you. Susan, do you have a follow-up?
Yes, I do. The White Star Road north of Prince Albert washed out like fairly significantly. I'm just wondering what the status of that road is. It might be too specific for you guys, but.
Devin, I'll pass that on to you.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that question?
The White Star Road, it's a grid road. I think it belongs to the RM of Buckland, but it is a fairly major collector road. So I'm just wondering, and it had a huge washout. So I'm just wondering what the status of that road is.
Well, I don't have the specifics of that event on hand right now. I would advise that you check the highway hotline for those ones, and be prepared to either slow down, take an alternate route, or stop. I would also just like to give a slight amendment to one of the questions that came from Ashley at Global, I believe. We had been advised of that mail deliveries being affected at Pelican Narrows and Sandy Bay on Monday is when we had that. And I said yesterday afternoon before, so.
Susan, I could, it's Eric Schmaltz here. I could probably answer that. As of Victoria Day Monday, I was in the constituency, so in the arm of Buckland, with the Reeve, Linda Clavel, and we toured that area. The road is still not repaired, and it is still not traversable. So just that's the latest update I have from being there on the Victoria Day holiday.
Thank you, Minister. We'll now move on to Ashley.
All right, thank you. I was just curious, the amount of communities in states of emergency, when was it at its highest, and how many?
Tyler, is that something you could speak to for us, please?
Yeah, I can speak to that. So the declaration of local emergency comes in, they're active for a week. So there is some overlap, but at its peak, we did have 45 declarations at one time.
All right, and sorry, when was that?
Oh, you're on mute, Tyler.
I see that now. I don't have an exact date of when we were at our peak, but I don't. The first one that did come in was on April 21st, and we are down to 4 now.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, so we've worked our way through a second round through the media, and I think everyone has participated and asked what they need. I have one last call. Any last questions? Excellent. Well, thank you, everyone, for it.
Jeff, sorry, just one second.
Sorry, go ahead, Minister.
Yeah, I just wanted to further to Susan's comment, and Devin, thanks for the input there on the highways hotline. If you are seeing or you're inquiring about specific roads in communities, if they're not available in the highway hotline, I would suggest that you contact the local RM. The local RM municipal shop or the RM offices. They'd be able to give you more specific real-time updates on their infrastructure.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Minister. So as I was saying, thank you for everyone for attending and participating. A reminder that if you do have additional questions afterwards, you can send them by email to media.spsa@gov.sk.ca. Thanks again and have a safe rest of your day.